are live. Mike South. Why are Thursday videos forgotten half the time? No, Mike. We are live every Thursday. It seems like every Thursdays there's technical difficulties. Nice to see you, Mike, over on YouTube. We are officially live right here, right now. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Carl Peterson. It's been a minute. Nice to see you. Nice to be back. I am Credit Suite's content and social media lead. And every Thursday, Mike is here. Every Tuesday, Mike is here. Let me know if you're here too with me, and I'll give you a shout out just like I gave Mike South. Thanks for being here, Mike. I love the shout outs. So definitely let me know where you're tuning in from in chat. I'll give you a shout out. Today's session is crypto financing, a concept that's changing how honestly people think about wealth. People think about liquidity. People think about long-term investing, especially crypto investing, and also business funding. Now, before we get in a little bit too deep here, I wanted to pause and I just wanted to briefly say and let you know that Credit Suite is not involved in cryptocurrency directly. And it's also a topic that we've spoken a little bit about over the last few years, especially in the past, but it's never been a main focus of ours, and it also never will be. So you might be asking, what's the point? Well, we're doing this topic because regardless of basically your opinions on crypto, it is a completely legitimate way to secure funding for your business. You know about banks, you know about business credit. If you're here, you got to know about business credit, right? You know about crowdfunding and grants and all the other main types of funding sources similar. We're covering this today because what you may not know is how long that list actually is and the many options that you actually have. So, cryptocurrency, it's one of those things that absolutely can get you funding for your business. And if you stay until the very end of this with me today, I'm going to give you access, entirely free access, by the way, to a guide that we have that goes over crypto and 26 other forms of financing that can get you going for your business and business funding needs. If the banks are telling you no, that doesn't mean that that's the end of your funding journey. If you've seen any of our content, then you should absolutely know that first and foremost. And this free guide that I'm going to give you access to at the very end of this thing, hopefully that will make that abundantly apparent. So what is crypto financing? Well, let's just start with the basics here, right? Simply put, it is just a way to access cash liquidity without having to actually sell your cryptocurrency. It works very similar to a traditionally secured loan. So you pledge an asset, right, as collateral, and in return, a lender gives you a cash loan. In this case, instead of a collateral being a house or a car, which is typically, the first two things people go to, it's your crypto. That's your collateral. And instead of liquidating your digital assets and potentially realizing capital gains or missing on future growth potential, you keep ownership while also gaining access to the cash. Kind of cool, right? That means if hypothetically Bitcoin goes up while you have the loan out, you still benefit from that price increase once your loan is repaid. Here's an example. So say a trader sees an opportunity in the market, but needs stable coins a little bit quicker than they were expecting. So they can borrow against Bitcoin or Ethereum for those short-term needs. Now, again, keep in mind that there's multiple ways of just doing that right there. And if you stay into the very end, I'll give you this access to this guide. You got to check it out. Detailed list, crypto's on there, plus a ton more. You're going to want to watch that. Enough on that, though. Let's keep moving on. So here's how it works specifically. First off, you need to choose a lending platform, right? So there are huge platforms dedicated to crypto loans. Nexo is one you've maybe heard of. That's usually the one that usually comes up first when you Google these kind of things. Some centralized, some are decentralized. So some of these platforms offer stable coin loans, and then others let you just borrow directly from them. Obviously, you're going to have to decide which one works best for you and your needs. And then you just simply deposit your crypto as the collateral. So you transfer your crypto or other accepted tokens in a secured collateral wallet. And this wallet is typically held in an escrow or smart contract custody, is what they call it, by the platform itself. And then you get a loan based on loan to value. There we go. Got tripped up on my words. So loan to value, LTV is what that's typically referred to as, and because it's a longer thing to say, I'm going to call it LTV for the rest of this stream too. So loan to value. Write that down if you need to. LTV. So this is a critical ratio. So a 50% LTV means if you deposit $20,000 worth of crypto, you can borrow up to 10. See how that works? So most platforms see LTV limits between 30 to 70%, depending on the asset. Of course, this is very platform to platform based, very asset to asset based. So 30 to 70% is a ginormous range, but again, it varies. There's a lot of variables here, right? That determines what that factor actually is. And then you receive your funds. So once the collateral is actually deposited, you get the loan. Excuse me, you hit the mic. You hit the loan. You get the you hit the loan. You receive the loan in return. There we go. I didn't know if I'd get that out or not. Obviously, we're going very high level with this because of the limited time we have today. But there's the process. Still high level. And then you have the repayment process, right? So you pay back the principal plus the interest over the agreed term. And then once the loan is repaid, you guessed it, you get your crypto back returned in full. Now, if you don't repay, obviously, the lender may liquidate part or all of your collateral, depending on what that LTV actually is. Let's pause for a second. So there's so many people who would never look at cryptocurrency as an option to get funding for their business, especially if you're not a familiar trader. It's just something that may be too new or something a little bit more foreign when it comes to funding things. I get it. On the surface, that does make sense in some regards, right? But if you're paying attention to everything that I just explained, then you realize that the process that I just walked through isn't very far off from most experiences when you're using assets to secure funding. So even if you're super inexperienced with cryptocurrency, or you kind of dabbled a little bit a couple of years ago, or whatever the case may be, don't let that deter you with this, because this is a legitimate option, but it's also very similar to all the other routes. It's pretty much the same bullet points. We're just working with cryptocurrency, and that's it. And the second part of that is, if you really just want to drive the fact home here, there are so many creative ways to fund your business, even when the banks say no. And obviously, cryptocurrency we're talking about today. So don't let it deter you, but also don't be overwhelmed or overlook it because you're not familiar with it. It's a great option. So just wanted to pause and say that. Let's actually break down what a typical loan term looks like when you're crypto financing. So loan sizes are ginormous, just like pretty much any loan ever. So they start at around, I'd probably say 50 to 100. We're talking super low scale, and that goes all the way up to very high scale. We'll go, 2 million is usually when we see that ceiling cap out. That range is massive, which is great news, because as a business owner, that's great for emergency expenses. That's great for business expansions. That's great to just get to Friday sometime. So this is a great option for that. Loan duration, nothing special here. So you're looking at about 1 week to 24 months. Again, these are just generalized what we're seeing across some of the main platforms. Interest rates, again, very, very wide range. So 0% if you're one of the lucky ones. And then we're typically seeing that max out on average around 13.9%. Obviously, rates vary by platform and specific to the amount. I cannot stress that enough. I don't want you to get really excited and say, I can get a 0% loan for 24 months on $2 million because Carl said it on the credit suite stream one day. That's not the case. So definitely, you know, double check what you're doing because there are very wide ranges when we're talking about anything loan related. And then also some platforms do offer no monthly payments and then interest only options. But as everything that we're talking about and ever talking about, just make sure you understand what that actually means for you and how interest accrues over time. Now, when it comes to what collateral you can actually utilize here, the two biggest you're going to see time and time again is probably not surprising to you at all, especially if you know cryptocurrency even a little bit. Just news headlines, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, good news here is that if you are currently invested in another one that's not one of the big two, we're going to call that moving forward, there are 37 million other cryptocurrencies live right now. I had to Google that before this stream because I couldn't. I put millions originally when I put this script together. When I put my bullet points today together, but I was actually surprised when I double checked that it's 37 million cryptocurrencies. So if it's not Bitcoin, if it's not Ethereum, and you're invested in one of the other 37 million, most platforms do allow you to transfer one coin to another. So don't be discouraged. Just you got to look at your in platform options here. And you probably also imagine each asset has its own risk profile. So Bitcoin is typically an LTV of about 50%. And then Ethereum is usually dipping to 40. And then that's usually around 50% as well. So a little bit of a range, but also extremely similar. So let's say you have 5 Ethereum worth 18 grand, right? So a lender might offer you 45% of that. So that'd be around 8,100. But remember, the more that you borrow, the closer you get to a margin call. So if Ethereum's price drops and your LTV climbs a little bit too high, you may be required to add more collateral or face liquidation, which is obviously a bit of a gamble. And also one of the leading reasons why people are not going with crypto financing all the time for long-term loans, just because the market is a little bit more unstable than other traditional loans you may see, or the more traditional route, business credit. So one of the best parts about crypto financing, though, is which may be most relevant to you, is that there is no traditional credit check because the loan is fully secured by crypto. Lenders don't need to know your credit score, but for obviously larger loans, think like I would say 100,000 or more, they still will probably be reviewing your income or other assets available, existing debts. Again, this isn't anything new. You see this in most funding options. Now, let's actually see why this differentiates from other options for you. So let's look at the major advantages and then we'll go for disadvantages. So, number one, there's no selling required. So you retain all upside potential in your crypto assets. So it's almost like you're investing in your business and yourself, but you're also investing in legitimate investing options like cryptocurrency. You also get instant liquidation. So funds are often released within minutes to hours or much less seconds it could be, which is something that's not extremely common all the time when you're talking to loan officers. That could take weeks or months. Obviously months is stretching a little bit, but the minutes to hours is always a big benefit. You also have a little bit more flexible terms. So from short-term personal loans to long-term financing, you have a lot of options to play with. Again, this does give you a lot of control. It is putting your assets at risk here, obviously, but that's the case for a lot of loan options. But this gives you a lot of flexibility while also possibly seeing a potential financial growth on the back end if that Bitcoin or whatever you're using goes up or down or all around. Obviously, no credit check. We talked about this is ideal for unbanked or underbanked crypto holders. And then also revolving line options. So some platforms offer lines of credits instead of lump sum loans, which could be super relevant to you depending on what you need and how much you need. And then finally, there's just multiple use cases, right? So investing in other opportunities, paying off high interest debt, funding a business, just the million ways you can do that, and then personal emergencies. The list goes on and on and on now and on. So definitely multiple use cases for crypto financing. Now, like I just mentioned, we cannot mention the benefits without mentioning the risk to consider too. Every financial product comes with risk. It's just how that works. So crypto financing is obviously no exception there. So crypto prices can swing very, very, very quickly. So if your LTV hits a danger zone, that platform may send you a margin call or require you to add more collateral or begin an automatic liquidation. So things to keep in mind when you're dabbling with this type of financing for your business. Additionally, you're giving up control of your crypto for the loan duration, at least. So make sure the platform has insurance. Make sure the platform has proven security and audits. Make sure these things exist before you even move a second with moving into those deeper conversations, because that really makes or breaks a lot of things, especially if those platforms don't have those things, and all of a sudden you still owe a massive loan amount, but all of a sudden your assets are gone for whatever reason that may be. Also, you need to watch that interest. So even with low rates, interest compounds over time. Tale as old as time, right? So read that fine print. And then also platform risk. So this is just a pretty much blanket statement here, but make sure you're working with a reputable lender always and forever, right? So after some high profile bankruptcies in the space recently, especially in the last 5 years alone, this is more important than ever. So should you consider this? Well, crypto financing, in my opinion, is one of the most innovative financial tools available today. This was not an option to do 10 years ago. This is a brand new way to fund your business and to get the finances you need. It's a way to unlock value of your digital assets without even giving them up. It's a very cool win-win in many ways. When you use it wisely, it can help you grow not only your portfolio, but obviously fund your projects and very obviously bridge any kind of financial gaps that you may be experiencing. But obviously, it's not free money. It's not just handouts. So understand the risk, choose the platform carefully, and obviously borrow only what you can afford to repay. So, if you're interested in learning more, I recommend you checking out leading crypto platforms that do lending. Read up on their terms, read that fine print, and even testing a small amount first would probably be a great suggestion too. Don't start with your entire portfolio. Start small, stay informed, and you can grow with confidence. So I mentioned at the start of this that I have a free guide for you. And here we are. At the start, I mentioned that, and here we are at the end. So if you're here right now, that free guide you can find at creditsuite.com/2727. It's called /27 for a reason. It is one of my favorite Credit Suite guides. It's going to outline 27 different ways to get funding for your business. This guide covers everything from bank loans to crypto to things you've probably never even heard of before. So you have options, and I got 27 of them ready for you to deep dive right now at creditsuite.com/27. Best part is 100% free to read and look at and download. And you can also click that link in chat right now on whatever platform you're looking at or watching me on, and go directly to that page to get that. So that is today's live stream. Thank you for being here. And I hope that this gave you insight into an area of business funding that you may have not thought of before, may have not known a ton about before. Make sure you follow us on whatever platform you're watching us on right now for daily content and weekly live streams, two of them just like this one every Tuesday and every Thursday. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. You deserve it. And we'll see you again real soon right here. Bye-bye.